guys, it's Angela and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are doing 4 DIY fall projects. So these projects range in difficulty from pretty easy to moderate, and a lot of the materials you can pick up at your local craft store or even your dollar store. However, a lot of the materials I actually used from home, or they were recycled or thrifted items. But if there's any links to items that I can link, I will have them down in the description. There's a couple things that you're able to get from Amazon and I'll link them down below. I have a ton of fall videos coming to you very soon because fall is one of my favorite times of the year. It has Nathan's favorite holiday, which is Halloween, and my favorite holiday, which is Thanksgiving. So make sure you are subscribed to my channel and hit that bell notification so you get notified every single time I upload, because like I said, this is just the first video of tons of fall videos coming your way. And with that being said, let's jump into the first video, which is 4 DIY fall projects. So jumping into the first project, guys, we are taking some not so cute dollar store pumpkins and we're painting them to, better match the color story and the vibe I have going on in my home this year. You can also do this to pumpkins that maybe you just don't love anymore or need a good refresh. These blue-green pumpkins are from last year and they are my inspiration for my color choices that I'm doing today. So I am starting off with my base color of an off-white because I want more of a muted color. And then I'm adding in this color called sap green. It's basically an olive-toned hunter green. And then about half the amount of that color, I'm doing cobalt blue, giving it a good stir, painting. And this first color took me about 3 coats with the thickness of my paint. But moving into the next color, I wanted to try a different method, and this method is actually all over the internet right now. You see it a lot with pottery and giving pottery a refresh. So starting off with the same off-white base, I then added in the cobalt blue first and then a tiny bit of the sap green. I then added in about a tablespoon of the baking soda, and what this does is it actually thickens up the paint and gives it a more stone or clay-like texture once the paint is dry. This took me only 2 coats, and I also went ahead and repainted the stems while I was at it in the dark green because that bright green just wasn't it. But that's it. That completes the first project. Moving into the next project, I wanted to make an easy sign without having to trace or paint letters or the need for a Cricut machine. However, if someone wants to buy me one, I'm totally down for it. But moving along, I opted for wood canvas. You could also use a regular canvas, but you are going to want to have it painted first and let it dry. Then you're going to want to design your Word document, and you can use whatever program you like. I really enjoy Canva, so I'm going to tell you how to use Canva. By the way, this is not sponsored, but I really wish it was. They have both a free and a paid program. I am using the free program at the moment. You're going to start by sizing your document to your computer size paper. I'm doing horizontal, so I'm going to do 11 by 8.5. Make sure whatever orientation you want, you do it in that orientation. So if you want it vertical, vertical, horizontal, horizontal. And then you're going to go in and start typing whatever word you're going to be using for today and get it close to the size you want. And then I like making sure that my text box extends all the way to the edge of my document. And then just start playing around with the different fonts and the text. Again, Canva has a ton of options, even with the free membership. Once you figure out the text details, you can go into the side selection called Elements and select the category Lines. Again, lots of free options, and I'm going for a leafy green vibe, so I'm selecting several different options here, just dragging them onto my print, seeing what looks good and figuring out what I want for my design. Then I'm going to size it, duplicate it, and up here in the left corner use the flip tool to mirror one of them. You can also change the color, which I ended up doing later down the road. Make your final adjustments before saving it and print it on your paper. I printed mine on just regular computer paper, but cardstock is actually better. But I do advise against anything that already has a glossy finish on it. Then going back to your fully dried canvas, you are going to start by putting a layer of Mod Podge down on the canvas. I wish I would have also done this to the back of my paper, so then that way both surfaces would have been tacky from the glue and they would have like adhered to each other better. So learn from my mistake. I think it would have been a lot less air bubbles and I wouldn't have needed to go back and add more Mod Podge like you see I'm doing here. But smooth it out the best you can. A little wrinkle does add some texture, which adds character, which adds interest, so don't worry too much about that. Then cover the whole entire paper and canvas in a thin coat of the Mod Podge. Make sure to get the edges really good, but be careful around the ink because it could bleed. Let that air dry completely before doing one more thick coat to really seal everything in. Then I finished off the edges of the computer paper with some twine and hot glue to create this really cute inlay border, as well as adding some hot glue and the same twine to the back of the canvas to create a place to hang, and that finishes off this project. For this third project, we are going to make some really cute fall throw pillows. Now these combined were only $16 that I spent, but I'm also going to tell you how you can save a little more money on them. A lot of these supplies I already had in my stash, or I'm repurposing items I already had. So I did purchase pillowcases, but if you know how to make them, you can also do that. I got mine from IKEA. I will have these as well as other options linked down below. The Amazon ones are actually better price, guys, just FYI. But then you are going to take your fabric you have selected to be your pumpkin and fold it in half. I used an old sweater dress that I had a few stains on that I wasn't going to wear anymore. Then draw and cut out half of a pumpkin. That way when you open up the pumpkin, it's symmetrical on both sides. I'm putting my original inspiration up on the screen. I'll also link these blogs down in the description below, but I believe that they also used old sweaters. If you don't have any, you can also check out thrift stores as well. I think this would also be a great idea for reusing old flannels or denim shirts or other materials like that. And you could do different things like leaves, trees, the old-timey looking trucks, pine trees for Christmas time. Honestly, the options are endless. But I am then pinning the center of the pumpkin to the center of the pillow. As I pin it, I'm making sure I am only pinning the top front side and not the back of the pillow. And for the first pillow, I'm going to sew it, showing you how to get a 1/4 inch raw seam. But if you don't know how to sew, don't worry, I have another example in just a minute. But make sure when you're sewing, you aren't sewing the back half of the pillow, just the pumpkin and the front. And then I am following the edge of the pumpkin fabric right along where the clear part and the metal part of my foot line up. That will give me a 1/4 inch edge. Make sure you take your time when sewing this because with it being a round object, it's going to want to shift. And leave about 1 inch of open space not sewn shut at the top of the pumpkin. Once the pumpkin is sewn down, I'm taking my decorative lace and figuring out how I want to lay this out. I am then going to do a simple basting stitch, making sure to catch all the points in the leaves all the way around the edges. I then attached a little twine bow to the center. Using the same fabric as my pumpkin, but using the back side, I then cut out the shape of a stem and positioned it in the opening I had left, sewn it in place, and that completes the first pillow. Now to show you a pillow without sewing. First, cut out the shape of your pumpkin like before and choose your fabric adhesive. There are tons of great fabric glues as well as iron-on transfers that would turn this whole piece of fabric into basically an iron-on patch, and I'll link some options down below. For ease of this video and the accessibility that I have, I chose hot glue for today. So I started by going around the edges of my pumpkin first, and then I'm layering in the details bit by bit. Now when I'm using hot glue on fabric, I take the approach that less is more. Start with a small amount first because you can always add more if you need it, but you don't want your project looking messy with all the hot glue oozing out everywhere. And that completes both of these fall pumpkin pillows. For the last and final project, I'm showing you how to make no-sew fabric pumpkins. And what I love about this project is you're using leggings or an old sweater or flannel that you're no longer going to use anymore. So for today's example, I'm going to start with leggings folded in half, or if you're using a sweater, you're going to match the sleeves up. You are then going to remove the leggings or the sleeves from the rest of the garment. Now, I want fairly large pumpkins, so I'm using the widest part of the leg that I have left and cutting about 7 inches down from there. And I'm cutting both legs at the same time because I'm making 2 pumpkins, but you can always opt to cut one leg at a time to make one pumpkin. Now turn what you just cut inside out so the seam is on the outside, and cut a piece of twine, yarn, or a thin cord at about 10 inches long. Gather one of the open ends of the legs together and using the twine, tie it around, pulling it super tight. Then flip the twine to the opposite side and double tie it into a knot. Now turn all of this back into the inside. Then you can stuff it with whatever filling you are using. This is a great way to use up old damaged pillows. You can also use grocery store plastic bags or even old newspapers. Then, using your hot glue, start by attaching opposite ends of the fabric together. It's better to do opposite ends coming together than trying to make it all come into the center at once. To make the stem, again, you have a ton of options. You can just use a cork, and I think that would be really pretty with like a burgundy or wine or neutral colors, and you could display it on a wine cabinet or bar cart. You can cover the wine cork like I am doing here with twine or macrame cord or yarn. You can also cut a wooden dowel down and cover it just like you would the cork, or you can paint or stain the wooden dowel, or you can go outside and grab a fallen down twig and break it down to size and paint that, or just use it the way it is. It's really about using what you got for this DIY. And then once your stem is completed, apply a generous amount of hot glue to the bottom and push hard in the center. To clean up the edge of where the stem and the fabric meet, I took more twine and a little hot glue and wrapped it around twice. Again, remember with fabric that hot glue, less is more. You can totally stop here, but I decided to add just one more final touch of a twine bow. Now, when I'm doing this, I decided to do it on the opposite side of where the seam is. This will make the seam the back side of the pumpkin. And there you have it, the final project, a no-sew pumpkin using old leggings or possibly a sweater that you were gonna toss out anyways. I hope you guys enjoyed that project because I definitely did. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and comment down below what your favorite project was or what you plan on doing. Mine is definitely the leggings, and that's just because of everyone got a pair of leggings that's floating around that either are ripped, has a bunch of stains on them, or is just like no longer fashionable. But let's make them cute, let's reuse, repurpose them. I love that you can use pretty much any medium inside as your stuffing, and then you can again use any type of medium as your stem. I think that's so awesome and creative, and I definitely plan on making more fabric pumpkins in the future. But that is it for today's video. Make sure you check out my other social medias. They are both Madick_Wesig with Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys have a great day. Mwah. Bye.